Welcome to Undrafted Hockey Fan. Today, we are talking about some news, some trades, NHL news, NHL trades, NHL rumors, and we're going to be going over a ton of this stuff. So make sure to hit like and subscribe if you want to see more of this hockey content. I really appreciate it, and it really helps small creators like me. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, if you hit the stars, I really appreciate it because it helps the numbers look good and helps me continue to make more and more content, which I want to continue to crank out as much content as possible. So if you guys would like it, let me know. I really appreciate it. So anyways, we'll just go to a couple things. We're going to go to a quick trade between the Vancouver Canucks and the Nashville Predators. So we had Mark Friedman traded to the Nashville Predators for future considerations from the Vancouver Canucks. Mark Friedman was he's been up and down a little bit. This year he played with the Canucks 5 games. He had 0 points with 10 penalty minutes. So more of like a bottom 6 kind of guy. And he's played most of his season in Abbotsford, getting 6 points in 20 games, 15 penalty minutes down there. So more of an AHL move. Just to bolster the AHL roster for the Milwaukee Admirals, which is the AHL affiliate for the Nashville Predators. So we'll see how that ends up going, but it's a little in-season trade. Not the trade that we're looking for, right? But it was absolutely a trade still. Talking about New York Islanders, Matt Barzel had a minor procedure on his kneecap. Normal recovery is quote 6 weeks or so. Islanders are definitely going to be missing him. They've been on a hot streak as of recent. If we're looking at the Eastern Conference, the New York Islanders are 7-3 in their last 10, and they need every little bit of points still to get into that playoff spot. So 57 points, 55 games. They are currently 4 points out of a playoff spot. So a couple teams start to slide, like the Red Wings or the Ottawa Senators. That can absolutely happen, but we'll see. I mean, they're definitely not out of it yet. I mean, the whole Eastern Conference is just kind of a mess. I mean, if you go from the second wildcard spot, which is playoffs, 61 points for the Red Wings, and the second to last team in the Eastern Conference, it's 55 points, 55-point tie between the Montreal Canadiens, Pittsburgh Penguins, and Philadelphia Flyers. Those guys, they still could make it into the playoffs. It's doubtful, but this is still an opportunity. It just shows you how tight the East is, and it kind of makes it more exciting down the stretch and everything. So we'll see if Matt Barzal comes. I mean, they also are talking about trading Noah Dobson, Islanders, and making him available, but then also re-signing Brock Nelson. I think that's the opposite. I think you would rather re-sign Noah Dobson and then you trade Brock Nelson, get the value you can for him. But supposedly they offered him a 3-year deal, so we'll see how that ends up panning out. Again, that's just a rumor at this point. So there's been a mutual contract termination between the Pittsburgh Penguins and Jesse Puljujarvi, 26-year-old, former, I think it was 2nd or 3rd overall pick. He's had 3 goals and 9 points in 26 games with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And in the AHL, he had 1 point he had 3 points in 4 games in the AHL. But it's more that they helped him. He had a hip surgery this past summer, and they did everything they could. Kyle Dubas, actually the president and CEO or president of the Pittsburgh Penguins, talked about this. He said, "Hey, we did everything we could. We feel like we gave him a fair shot. He decides he wants to go and check out other opportunities, and that's fine." So it feels like they gave him the actual shot. Kyle Dubas is known for this, kind of giving guys opportunities. It either works or it doesn't, and it's okay if it doesn't. Like that's the average. It is kind of nice if you can get like a free asset like him on a really cheap contract. But again, it's not working out. We saw this actually a contract termination with Brandon Saad of the St. Louis Blues. He actually gave up the rest of his deal this year and $4.5 million next year as well with the Blues to be able to go sign with the Vegas Golden Knights at $1.5 million for the rest of the year. I think he just wants a Stanley Cup opportunity. I think maybe Jesse Puljujarvi is looking for something like that as well. Just get an opportunity to be a depth piece on a team that's not potentially going through a retool like the Pittsburgh Penguins are. So we'll see what happens there. So let's go over some NHL news. Utah, going back to rumors now, Utah is looking to be big spenders and could be in on Mikko, Rantanen, and Mitch Marner. I mean, of course, they're a team that doesn't have a huge superstar yet, and they have really good players. Clayton Keller, captain there. They have Logan Cooley's looking phenomenal. Dylan Gunther as well. And as well trading for Sergachev this offseason. They definitely need a little bit of goalie help, I'd say. But a Mitch Marner or Mikko Rantanen would absolutely be phenomenal for them. Of course. I mean, any team should be calling about Mitch Marner or Mikko Rantanen. Looks like the Penguins are willing to listen to offers on Erik Karlsson, but teams won't want to take on his full contract. And so that's one reason I'm actually wearing my Erik Karlsson jersey. I got my San Jose Sharks Erik Karlsson jersey. Yeah, I think No one's going to want to take on that contract. It's $10 million if we're looking at it. I think I had it pulled up. It's $10 million. There is talk that he's got the rest of this year and then 2 years after this as well. He is a right shot defenseman. He's 34 years old, and his contract is partially retained by the San Jose Sharks, about $1.5 million per year. And so that means the team that would have taken on is going to have taken probably that full load. So you have to consider, does Pittsburgh have to give a pick to get rid of the contract, or is there enough people interested in Erik Karlsson, who is a former Norris winner, has scored over 100 points as a defenseman? Currently this season, he's putting about 2 points every 3 games. He's got 38 points, 57 games so far. And so he's not definitely the Erik Karlsson he was before. And mind you, he was on the PP1 when he was playing with the San Jose Sharks. So now you're splitting that time with Kris Letang on the Pittsburgh Penguins. And so you're not seeing as much value out of him because you have 2 guys that are playing the power play on the defense. So I think if you send him over to somewhere that like he eventually would want to go or want to go back to. And the reason I say go back to, it's because the Ottawa Senators supposedly are in talks potentially. Like, he'd be willing to go back there. And mind you, Erik Karlsson also has a full-blown no trade clause for the rest of his contract. So you have to consider that he gets to decide when and where he wants to go. And if he wants to go back to Ottawa, I think that'd be awesome. I think it'd be good for a good story about how he's drafted from Ottawa and he goes back to Ottawa. But to me, I think it's not going to work out because you already have a guy like Jake Sanders. Well, you have the left side, you're good with Jake Sanders and Thomas Chabot. Your right side, you have Artem Zub, Nick Jensen, Travis Hamonic as a right shot defenseman. You also have Jacob Bernard Dockard, and another guy, he's just more of a Nicholas Mantapola. I mean, when you look at the top of your right shot D, you got Hamonic's probably going to be gone. He's 34 years old. Nick Jensen's got this year, next year. He's a right shot. He'll probably be depth. Artem Zub, though, Artem Zub, you're going to be your guy on that top right. He's played 31 games this season, so it could be a possibility. I mean, I wouldn't mind that for Ottawa, but I think this maybe not the smartest move for Ottawa to do that unless they were able to get him on a good deal, like, get him for like $8 million, let's say. And let's say Penguins were able to retain $2 million for this year and next year. But what will it cost the Ottawa Senators to be able to take him on? Is it going to cost you a good pick or prospect or anything? And depends how much the Penguins end up retaining on him. So we'll see. Moving to the next little bit of news. Kris Letang might get some interest at the deadline as well, talking about the Pittsburgh Penguins, but likely won't waive his no move clause. Yeah, of course. Like, why would he? I mean, it doesn't make sense to, because he's been there for so long. He's one of the main guys. He's not like a guy that was brought in like an Erik Karlsson. And the thing is he's also 37. So he's got this year and then 3 years after this as well. And he's only got 20 points, 50 games. He's at a 6.1 cap hit, but again, you're going to take on a contract of a guy who isn't really putting up major points. He's a right shot D, but he'd have to decide to waive it. Let's see, he has he's got a modified no trade clause. It's a 10 team approved trade list, so he can pick 10 teams that he can be traded to. But doesn't kick in until the 26-27 season. So so even at the end of this year, like he has a no movement clause until the end of next year, like after, like not this summer, but next summer afterwards, going into the following season. That's crazy. So yeah, he's going to decide. I think he'll end up staying just because if he doesn't want to move, he can choose not to move. That's why he earns these types of things. You earn these types of things in your contract where you say, hey, if I don't want to go, I don't want to go. So Ducks are looking to move Trevor Zegras and are looking to add a defenseman. I mean, the Ducks defense is looking pretty bright. I mean, they picked up a guy like Jacob Trouba recently in a trade with the New York Rangers. And you have, of course, Minchukov as well. I think you have Gudas, you have Brian Dumoulin. I think that they end up moving him. Jacob Lacombe, like Drew Hellison, like I said, Minchukov, Olin Zellberger. I mean, yeah, you probably need more of like an NHL defenseman, but I don't think you're going to want to trade an asset like Trevor Zegras for just anybody. And there's talks about, I think it'd be good to see Trevor Zegras move to, like, I think Philadelphia would be a good match there. We'll see. I think it'd be good to see him get back with Jamie Drysdale as well. So let me know which defenseman you think Zegras should end up going for. Sharks continue to listen to offer on Mario Ferraro. The Avalanche are one of the interested teams. It'd be honestly a little frustrating as, like, again, a Sharks fan, if you're seeing them trade it within conference again. We already saw them trade Tomas Hertl over to the Vegas Golden Knights, who they're retaining on for the next several years. But again, like a Mario Ferraro, he's 26 years old. He's got this year and next year. I mean, this is one of your main leaders in the room. I would like them to keep him. He's got 11 points, 57 games, but he's a monster defensively. So kind of that Chris Tanev type. But to me, I just would be frustrated as a Sharks fan if they move Mario Ferraro. I think he's just like a good dude for this, and it'd be a bit frustrating because you're tearing. I know you understand that you're doing a teardown, but there's some guys that it's nice to keep. Like who are you bringing from the previous generation of Sharks, right? Mario Ferraro has been around for quite a while now. He saw with Patrick Marleau. He saw like Joe Thornton, Pavelski, and everything. So to me, like he would be a next leader. I could actually even see him if Couture ends up not coming back because he still hasn't come back yet. I think I could see him being a captain until Celebrini's ready to take over that mantra or that mantle. Goodness gracious. So let's move on to the next little bit of news. The Lightning are looking to add depth to their forward core ahead of deadline. Of course they are, because they're a playoff contender, and they're almost out of the playoff spot. Actually, if you look at where they're at, they're in the third spot in the Atlantic. But again, this is really tight. You have the Ottawa Senators, the Detroit Red Wings, and the Boston Bruins all nipping at the heels of the Tampa Bay Lightning. So yeah, of course they're looking to add because they can't afford. They just bought really hard with Jake Gensel this offseason. They really can't afford not to make the playoffs. So Los Angeles is looking for a right shot scoring winger. Okay, again, another team that's looking to score up some depth. And LA Kings is in that third spot in the Pacific. But again, you have Vancouver nipping at their heels as well. I don't think LA moves out of a playoff spot, but I can understand they're kind of in that spot where they need to make some moves. They need to actually not make some moves. I'd say they have to actually get some success in there, because you have guys like Drew Doughty that's only going to be there for so long, right? Like you kept them to Brown as long as possible. You have a Kopitar. Well, Brown's gone, but Kopitar is, he's getting older as well. You want to take these guys and you're kind of rolling into the next generation, right? You had some good guys. You did some rebuild stuff. You got Brant Clark. You got Jordan Spence, like on the D. Like there's some good pieces here. So of course they want to continue to add and everything. Of course, the Dylan Cozens news is still going out there, according to Kevin Weeks. Canadians, Flames, Red Wings, and Maple Leafs are all interested. Yeah, of course they are. I think he ends up going maybe to the Flames. I don't think the Buffalo would want to trade him in conference. I think it'd be also too expensive for what the Wings, Maple Leafs, and Canadians are willing to spend. Canadians have a lot of assets, so I could say maybe you trade like a Doc back or something like that. I don't know. You're not going to get him cheap for sure. And I think Calgary Flames, I've been saying Calgary Flames. I think that was a good move. We know that they're looking for a center. They already traded for Morgan Frost, but if he doesn't end up working out, that can be absolutely a good fit there. So, looking at some of the Maple Leafs are looking into Brandon Carlo, Luke Shen, of course, who they've drafted, by the way, 4th overall. Jamie Alexiak, and then David Savard as well. The Leafs are also looking into Jake Evans, as well as the Hurricanes, Oilers, and Jets. Jake Evans is up this year. Brandon Tanev is, of course, highly sought after. His ghost face, looking at Rangers, Capitals, Seattle. I mean, there's a lot of everyone's looking at most of these guys. Looks like there's just some other rumors. It looks like there's some talk about Steve Yzerman almost traded the Islanders and Sabres during his career. Like, just got a couple of news notes here. So we're gonna take a quick DraftKings break, and then we'll jump into the next little bit of news. So stay tuned. Playoffs? We're talking about playoffs? You bet we are. Get in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick. Now, again, if you're looking at a contender like maybe the Chiefs or the Bills, I mean, you could bet them to go all the way. Or if you're just a Chiefs hater, let's say, you can bet against them up until the Super Bowl, and it's so great. So make sure to get on the action at DraftKings. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boo Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Yeah, we're back. So the Buffalo Sabres, talking about Dylan Cozens real quick. Of course, they're in the middle of a they're trying to get good, right? They're not trying to go through rebuild. They haven't made the playoffs in 13 years. So of course they're going to be they're going to be trying to buy. They want NHL players who want to be there instead of getting the picks and prospects. So you're looking for more for like a player for player. I think it would be looks like if we're going to some real quick off the cuff stuff things. Look at the Canucks are looking at Dylan Cozens. I mean, maybe a Brock Besser goes back in that deal, right? Looking at the Flames. I mean, they have plenty of assets there. I mean, maybe a Sharon Govich because that's another center. I think they probably rather keep him. But there's some players that you can send over. Maybe Rasmus Anderson. There are players, of course, they're looking to extend him. Blackhawks have tons of assets. Predators have first round picks. They have some guys on the team, but are not of the caliber of the Dylan Cozens, I'd say. So I don't know if they'd be a good spot there. I can see the Red Wings trading Alex DeBrincat as maybe like the big piece that's going back. So there's just a couple options here for Dylan Cozens, and of course they're going to be looking at that. So it looks like Tampa Bay is talking about that depth score. They're actually looking at Alex Tuch's availability, and if we look at what Alex Tuch, if he's got this year and next year, which would be phenomenal for them to pick up. He does have a modified no trade clause. He has a 5-team no trade list. So it's basically some Canadian, 5 teams, right? So it's nothing too crazy. And he's at so he's pretty much has the whole league available to him. He scored about 4 points every 5 games, 43 points in 54 games. Again, a good asset, a good veteran asset. I think I'm surprised that they wouldn't want to keep him unless you're getting like a really nice pick for him. Or something really nice back. I don't know why they would trade Alex Tuch. I think he's probably got more value on your team than and as a leader, which you definitely need as Buffalo Sabres. I don't know why you want to trade him. So talking about Casey Middlestad, of course, as centers, of course, are going to go for a little higher. Looks like Devils, Senators, and Maple Leafs have all poked around at that. For Senators, I could definitely see that. Devils, to me, your Middlestad's who's going to be your third line center then, I guess. I mean, because you have Jack Hughes and you have Nico Hischier. I think that maybe the Devils, I guess he's only on a short-term contract in that case because Casey Middlestad's got this year and 2 years after. Sure, it's fine. I don't think that's the guy that the Devils should be going after. I mean, Maple Leafs, yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. Because you have the center depth of Matthews and then John Tavares. And maybe at some point during his tenure with Casey Middlestad, maybe Casey Middlestad moves up to that second line center, maybe. But it's doubtful in my opinion. I think the Senators makes a little more sense. So there's a lot. It looks like there's a lot of guys that could be traded that are kind of your depth guys. Max Domi, who signed a big contract this past year with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think it was a 3 or 4 year contract. David Comp, another Toronto Maple Leafs, kind of a depth center. Justin Hall, Nils Hall, who has not been really working out that well. He's so hot and cold with the Red Wings, kind of falling out of favor, but he still has term left on his contract. He's got the rest of this year and next year. Nils Hoglander, he just signed a new deal with the Vancouver Canucks. So to me, I'm kind of surprised that they're willing to move him already. If you look at Nils Hoglander, let's pull up his file real quick because I thought I'm surprised he didn't go back in the Pittsburgh deal. I'm very sure that he's got this year and then he signed a 3-year extension for $3 million a piece. So I'm surprised that they're already looking at trading him. And Erik Karlsson, again, another Detroit Red Wings defenseman, which is not working. It looks like Red Wings are looking to move off of Tarasenko, Justin Hall, and Erik Gustafsson. So I mean, those are all guys who have over a year left on their contract. So I'd be surprised on what the Red Wings are going to have to do to be able to move off of them. Again, you don't want to be spending assets if you don't have to, but you want to make some good hockey trades. So if you can get rid of 2 contracts, if you instead of our pick and get rid of 2 contracts, that'd be money. You get just a guy back, like a UFA or a guy that's going to expire this year. I could see that, right? But you don't, to get rid of all those, it would be expensive. Again, you don't want to use your buyouts either at the end of the year, because that's cap. That's going to make it even longer to get rid of, or you're going to hold that cap on there even longer. But we'll see. Looks like Ryan Donato is also getting huge interest right now. Pull up Ryan Donato right now on the terrible Chicago Blackhawks. He's got 7 points every 10 games. It's 37 points in 53 games, 19 goals, 18 assists. I mean, that's a pretty good production right there. A good depth guy. Can play center, as well. I think that'd be great. I think he's 28 years old too, so he'll be looking for new contracts too. He'd just be a UFA. He's got a $2 million cap hit. I mean, this is absolutely a guy you for sure go out and get at the deadline. I think it's going to be good to see him. I mean, you see the Maple Leafs, Jets, Kings, Senators, Devils, Hurricanes. I mean, all teams in that playoff contention for sure can absolutely look to locking him up. I think it'll be a great move for Ryan Donato. And it's talking about how it says surprise buyers would be the Flyers and the Utah Hockey Club. I mean, I think Flyers are going to want to try and get out of the rebuild as soon as possible. And then Utah Hockey Club, of course, the owner, Ryan Smith, talked about how he wanted the team to be relevant and good right off the bat. Of course, those guys are a little bit more surprise buyers, but there's a rationale behind it. Jets being surprise buyers, that's not a surprise at all. A surprise according to Elliot Friedman, but Jets, of course, you're number one in the league. You definitely want to buy. You want to continue this run that you have. You're having guys are feeling good, and see if you can just keep that spark going and everything. So Yanni Gourde, who did go down with an injury and will be injured throughout the trade deadline, there is still interest of him as a third line center for the Maple Leafs, the Bruins, the Lightning, the Avalanche, and the Capitals. I mean, of course, you want that third line center. Is he going to be the same when he comes back? That is a huge question there as well. So, and it looks like the Sportsnet reports that Vinny Heinola it's probably right time to move on from him. The Jets, he's a 23-year-old former first-round pick in 2019. He's only played 16 games this season and has 1 point. Just really not breaking down the lineup. So that's just tough on him. So to me, I think you kind of have to move on from a guy like that who's just not producing for your team. And it's just a bit frustrating because you'd like to, out of a former first-round pick, of course you wanted to see him thrive, but I mean, it's not working. If it's not working out, you just got to move on and cut your losses. I mean, he's not costing you a ton of cap hit, so it's worth it to keep him on. But again, if you're looking to you want full depth and squeeze the most out of your lineup, he may be a casualty there, where you just have to move on from him because you got to make a spot for a guy like maybe they pull on for a Brock Nelson, the Jets move on for a Yanni Gourde or anything like that. That's absolutely possible. So New York Islanders are, again, we talked about Noah Dobson earlier in the video. Surprisingly, they're looking to trade him, and what they want back is a top line forward. If you look at what Noah Dobson has done this year, he didn't have him pull up. But let's pull up Noah Dobson, because he is the thing is the reason the Islanders are looking to move on from him is because he is not the only RFA that they have to extend this year. It's also Alexander Romanov, who they traded for from the Montreal Canadiens in that deal with Kirby Dach and Alexander. Yeah, so the Dach was traded from the Chicago Blackhawks to Montreal for the first round pick that Montreal traded and got back from the Islanders for Alexander Romanov. So they're looking to extend Alexander Romanov. The thing is Noah Dobson's a right-handed shot defenseman. I mean, you can get a haul for him, but to me, you can see that they're what they're trying to do with the right side D. You're seeing that guys that are kind of starting to fill this lineup out. As they're on the right side, you're seeing they signed Tony DeAngelo, who's working out there. You're seeing Adam Boquist, who's working out there as well. And that's the two right. And then you have, of course, Ryan Pollock, who you're going to have there long term as well. And you have Scott Mayfield again, who another guy you'll have there for a long time because he's got a no trade clause. So Noah Dobson's kind of being pushed out. I think that's the not smart deal. I think you end up trying to move. I think Noah Dobson's going to make a ton of money. To me, I think you'd rather keep Noah Dobson. I think he's just way too valuable as a player. And mind you, he is injured right now, but in 46 games, he's a half point per game player. I think he's got a huge upside. I don't know why you'd want to move on from a guy like him. But if we look at the stats for an Alexander Romanov, mind you, he's a left shot D. He's only got 15 points in 41 games. So to me, I don't understand the logic. I'd rather keep Noah Dobson. I think they would absolutely regret trading him, but that is their absolute choice. So It looks like there is some Dave Pagnotta saying it's unclear if the Maple Leafs are willing to give Mitch Marner more than $13 million a year. Well, if you look at $13 million a year, so there's a thing on the UFA market too, right? So if he's going for 13 Leafs, if Mitch Marner has him, right? But if they give him the 8th year, 13 million times 8 is 104. It's $104 million, right? A team that it's in UFA to give him an equivalent contract, it'd have to be $14.85 million, which would be the highest in the league. Mitch Marner beginning $14.85 million. So if you're trying to keep Mitch Marner, like, you have to realize that he's going to be one of the most expensive guys in the league. He's going to be being paid more than a Nathan MacKinnon. If you get him in free agency, you'd be paying him more than Austin Matthews. But I think Austin Matthews is that upper tier. He's that upper limit for what they want to pay guys. I mean, we saw them give William Nylander an 8-year deal at $11.5 million per year. We saw him give a 4-year extension to Austin Matthews, $13.25 million a year. So if you keep it around the 13 to 12.75, I think that makes sense. That is like $1.5 million, $1.75 plus of what he's already getting. He's getting almost $11 million. So, but I think, of course, he wants that value because he is absolutely that valuable. He's putting up over a point a game, 1.3 points per game, 71 points in 54 games. He has 55 assists in 54 games, so it means he has an assist a game. Plus, just throw in 16 goals in there as well. Yeah, I mean, of course, I think GF should be looking to extend him. But that's just my opinion. I think it's like, hey, why wouldn't you want to keep a guy that's going to give you almost? I mean, look at 1.3. It's 1.31 points per game times 82 games. He is on a 107-point pace. Yeah, you give a guy like that a lot of money. Is it 13? Is it 12? I mean, it's for sure double digits, right? He's already making 10.9, so of course he's going to want a bump. So I'd be curious. What do you think that Mitch Marner should end up making? I'm really curious in your thoughts. So one of the things nice thing about the Mikko Rantanen trade is that you get to see if he's working out with the team. And if it's working out, you give him the extension. There was talks about him wanting a high, like he wanted, he thought he can get $14 million a year over 8 years, like a Leon Draisaitl. By the way, his agent is also Leon Draisaitl's agent. So, of course, I think the agent got a little greedy. I think there was talks about trying to get him down to a number that was under Nathan MacKinnon. Supposedly, the Avalanche did offer him an $11.75 million per year for 8 years, which is just not what he wanted. I think he wanted closer to a Nathan MacKinnon number, which is $12.5 million, $12.6 million per year. I think if you had given him the 12.25, I think that maybe would have solidified it. Say, hey, you got to stay under Nathan MacKinnon, but you can't, we can't give you any more than that. I think that maybe the middle ground. We know that he was super disappointed with the trade and really shocked by it. And so kind of looking at how he's produced so far since the trade, which was on January 24th, in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, he has 2 points. In 2 points in 6 games, mind you, he currently has pulling up he has 64 points in 49 games, but since he's 49 games, but since been traded, he has definitely been lacking on the points there. Now, if we're looking at what happened with Marty Necas in this trade as well, kind of seeing why it was a smart move of the Colorado Avalanche. We're seeing that in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games, he has 2, 4, 5, 8, 9 points in 8 games. So like he's doing very well, right? 1, 2, in 8 games, 9 points in 8 games. So he's still keeping a phenomenal production. Mario Necas is. So we're kind of seeing that maybe Carolina lost this deal, and maybe you might not want to extend this guy because he's kind of miserable. It does take a little bit of time to ramp up for some guys, so we'll see. But the thing is they can also, if they decide, hey, we're not getting the value out of Mario Necas that we thought we would, we do want to trade him. Like you can absolutely do that and try and do another blockbuster trade, which is absolutely possible. So we'll see if Mikko Rantanen is traded again. I don't think he is, but I mean, like the Carolina Hurricanes are not afraid to make moves, and that is absolutely what we love about it. So, and of course, going back to talking a little bit of drama, going back to the Vancouver Canucks, of course, it talks about Elias Pettersson's future is not 100% safe in Vancouver, and there's a lot of smoke around his situation. Mind you, there is still a number of issues with him and that he is not performing to what he needs to be. If we look at where he's at, pulling up his pulling over, goodness gracious, we pull up his stats and everything. He is not producing where he needs to be. We've seen him perform at over 100 points in a season. But if we're looking at where he's at right now, pulling it up, of course, it's taking a second to load. Puckpedia, thank you very much. 34 points in 49 games, which is fine, but definitely not 11.6. And he's in the first year of his deal. He's 25 years old, and his no movement protection kicks in at the end of this year. So you decide if you want to keep this guy. If he's keeping his production up, we're like, okay, well then we can't keep you, man. But if he doesn't change it, then you need to decide what you're going to do. Actually, I'm going to pull up his. Let's look up Elias Pettersson as a guy who is, let's see, 1998, forward. So Elias Pettersson, again, he's a fifth overall pick, right? 2017. JT Miller was traded on, I think it was January 17th. And since then, he's about a half a point per game player. So like the idea is that you were trading away a guy that was going to causing issues in the locker room. And maybe it's just taking a minute for Elias Pettersson to kind of be like, hey, like everyone's like, this is my fault. I'm the reason that he's being traded. There may be a little bit of a shock right there, but I think he can absolutely get back on his role. It just takes a second. But again, Vancouver has to decide, if you can't get there, will you ever get there? And should we trade you now? So, and I think that if he doesn't pick it up for the end of the year, I think he's absolutely getting traded, because I think Vancouver can't risk it. So looks like John Tavares. I thought John Tavares would be signing around like a 6-year or $6 million deal. It looks like he's been talks around getting a 3-year deal at $7 million per year. Cap's going up. That makes sense. That would definitely be a cap savings for the Maple Leafs. In my opinion, I'd rather them go for a 4-year deal for $6 million a year. That way, and just at the end, you can just kind of throw them on LTIR. I think that makes more sense. And you're saving an extra $1 million on the cap for every year that you have them. So, and again, the Caps have to go up like crazy over the next couple of years. So, looks like Canucks. We talked about Noah Dobson. Canucks have some interest in him as well. Right-hand D, of course. Yeah, you'd absolutely want that. Imagine having him with a partner like Quinn Hughes. It'd be phenomenal. Again, that first line forward. I think Brock Besser would be a good trade there. I think that'd be one of your guys that Vancouver can absolutely move off of, who wants a long-term contract. And we know Lou has traded with Vancouver before, and they've given the guy an 8-year contract, i.e. Bo Horvat. So that is absolutely a case where that could happen as well. So they're definitely familiar with trading with each other. It also looks like the the St. Louis Blues are looking to shake up their core a little bit, which to me isn't very interesting. Looking to move potentially Jordan Kyrou or Pavel Buchnevich, which to me, to me, it's a bit crazy that you would trade Kyrou, because he's one of the guys you signed that equivalent deal with Robert Thomas. And if we're looking at how they're managing this year on the points side, of course, Pavel Buchnevich is a guy that you can trade because he's 20, almost 29. He needs a new deal. Do you want to sign into a 6, 7, 8-year deal? Maybe not. He's at 34 points, 54 games. I could see you want to move off a guy, maybe get a little bit younger, maybe get the first round pick or a roster player. Absolutely could see that. You look at Robert Thomas, 41 points, 44 games. And then you have Jordan Kyrou doing a very similar production, 44 points, 56 games. I mean, a little bit less, but again, why would you move off Jordan Kyrou? When you move off of, if you haven't moved off of Pavel Buchnevich, you'd move Jordan Kyrou up to that top line. So to me, it's silly for them to move Jordan Kyrou, but maybe there's something in the locker room that we're not hearing. Of course, we talked about Tarasenko a little bit in the potentially being traded as well. Again, I think you're having to move. I mean, I think he's got a full-blown no-trade clause this year, and then next year is a 16-team no-trade clause. Looking at Puckpedia, man, if you don't use Puckpedia, it's phenomenal. But Tarasenko has a full-blown no-trade clause this year, and next year has a 8-team trade list. So he'll definitely have a lot more options of where he gets to go if he wants to. So we'll see if he ends up choosing that. I'm curious I think he's not working out with him. And again, I talked about this before with the Red Wings on my live stream before. Definitely check out, if you subscribe to YouTube or subscribe to me on Twitter, you'll see that the post that I put out for when I'm doing live streams next for the Red Wings games. I talked about how Tarasenko is not feeling the fit, and which is fine. But again, there's no other Russians on the team. So I think that's the frustrations. I would love for him to go to like the Capitals or the Flyers. I think that he would be a much better fit there. I think maybe I think the Capitals would be a great fit actually, because again, you have some Russian, you have Ovi, you have some Russians there, and they're on a winning team, right? So maybe you can give them like a little bump there. So that'd be a good move for both teams, in my opinion. So, and then Vancouver Canucks, of course, are showing interest in Brock Nelson. Of course they are, because they're trying to win now. They're still in a playoff spot, 63 points, 53 games, but right behind them is the Calgary Flames, 3 points behind. So we'll see what ends up happening there. So let me know what your thoughts are on everything. I hit like, subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thanks for jumping in. And I'll catch you in the next news video. Maybe we'll do, I think we're talking about doing some live streams of the Four Nations tournament. Hi, buddy. It's my kitty talking to me. We're talking about doing some live streams with the Four Nations. So let me know if you want to see that. And I'll catch you next video. Love you. Bye.